I'm joined at my home today by Richard Barnes. Richard, thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
Suicide of the Month. Started out as an ebook.
That's right. It's available now in hardcover and paperback as well.
Why did you decide to start with ebook?
The whole nature of publishing and printing, it's just, you can do it so fast. You just simply have to upload your files and they're out there like that.
Obviously you're going to make a profit off of people that want it from the internet. How do you go from, okay, this is my work, let's put it as a blog, to no, you have to purchase this if you want to read it?
You can upload your files to Amazon, to CreateSpace, which is a company owned by Amazon.
Okay.
And basically it cuts out the middleman. You just do it directly, you get very good royalties, much better than through a traditional publisher.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's really the direction that publishing is going. It's contracting. Same thing with the music industry. You know, it's contracting, and they're putting all their eggs in fewer baskets. It's great actually. I mean, for somebody who's got a good book and wants to put it out there, I mean, really the world's your oyster.
Having started with such an easy process, as you put it, what made you expand and go into paperback and hardcover now?
Well, because if people still want a book. I mean, I want a physical copy.
Yeah, I like it in my hand.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody still loves that. I mean, the ebook thing, it is, I mean, it's my understanding that ebooks are now selling hardcovers on Amazon.
Okay.
But still, I mean, it's just so nice to have that in your hand. A lot of people want that, so you gotta have it out there.
Without giving too much away, how would you sum up your book in a few words?
Funny, strange, mildly disturbing at times, but in a, I think in a kind of a bright way.
I definitely agree with all of those descriptions. Your book is all short stories, from, again, without telling too much, panda insemination to a racist t-shirt.
Yeah.
How do you come up with these ideas?
I'm not a religious man at all, and really not even very spiritual, but it's just, you just have, something strikes you as amusing. It's just one detail, and with the new shirt, just the idea that somebody would have a shirt that's actually racist and expresses this with this high-pitched kind of squeal, just seemed kind of an amusing detail that you could use to then kind of expound on kind of the absurdity of racism and, all of that. And you just build it from this little seed. And
I've noticed your characters in each story. They seem to come back. It's the same names over and over. Mm-hmm. Are these people in your everyday life?
Some of it's actually strangely, autobiographical. I mean, some of these things in the book actually did happen. I mean, maybe not in the same...
Not quite the aliens and buildings and
not
stuff?
the aliens, no.
Okay.
That one is, that's pretty much just purely fiction. But in Friendship Now, I mean, it's largely based on reality, actually. Experiences that, I've had. A lot of the book, there are scenes or just moments, which are, autobiographical. But as for, why some of the names kind of reoccur, I think it's, in a way, the ideas are so kind of diverse. I wanted to kind of bring it in a little bit, okay. And give it, I hate to use the word generic, but kind of bring it in a little bit to within the overall framework, the overall kind of theme of the book.
Speaking of themes, how did you decide on the title story? How did you decide Suicide of the Month was the right title for this book?
Well, it's just a great title.
It is.
So fun, but I mean, I tested a few out on friends and whatnot, and everybody seemed to think it was, more than anything, just a cool sounding title. At some point, you have to, be selling, I think. I mean, you have your artistic vision and all of that, but at some point, you do have to appeal to people, and you want something that's going to stand out.
And it's definitely catchy.
I mean, it's better than, R.T. Barnes short stories.
Yeah, right. And to come across something that says Suicide of the Month, it wasn't at all what I expected. I expected something dark, mainly on suicide. But that's not what your book is at all. It does shed light on suicide, but it's a comedic side of things. What makes you sort of want to tell your story so that people can laugh at it?
The world is a very odd place, and it's filled with all kinds of challenges, for everybody all the time. I mean, and it doesn't seem to matter whether or not you're, you know, born into privilege or not. There seems to be this kind of existential angst, which just goes across all borders, you know, no boundaries. And really, what can you do with it but laugh? Also, too, I mean, it's just fun. It's fun to laugh, and it's fun to, you know, make jokes, and you know, it just seems to be if you're trying to get some sort of message across, or if you're just talking for the sake of it, you know, it's better to see people laughing and smiling. I've caused enough despair.
Have you?
Writing books for that, you know, specific purpose of, you know, spreading my circle of despair through the, you know, through the universe. So yeah.
You're promoting the book.
Mm-hmm.
I assume in any way that you can. What's your biggest way of promoting it?
I've actually got a publicity campaign that's going to be starting soon with a professional organization, which is not huge. I mean, it's kind of a startup program, 6 weeks. And this is going to be focusing on getting, you know, radio interviews and maybe TV, you know, reviews, blog postings, all that kind of stuff. Just putting this meme out there, and hopefully, you know, and it, you know, it should grow. I mean, if something does catch on the internet, it usually grows exponentially.
Yeah. Speaking of, I see that on Twitter, Metric's following you?
Well, they follow everybody who follows them.
Do they?
Yes.
For sure?
Yes, they do.
Alright.
My kids asked me about that,
You
too.
don't think that they picked up your book and thought, hey...
They may well have. I don't know everybody's bought one, you know, so...
Yeah. I think it's possible. I mean, you know, you listen to some of their lyrics, I think Suicide of the Month might catch their eye.
I certainly think they'd like it, and they should buy it immediately if they haven't so far. Each one of them separately, not sharing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sell other concerts. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
There you go. A little bit of promo for music and a book.
I really think this is the way forward for Metric.
I do.
Know?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, they could turn your stories into songs.
They could. In fact, I mean, that's something I'd love to do, actually, is work with you know, musicians that actually turn them into songs. I think they're, you know, concise enough, you know, that they would translate fairly easily.
With translation, there's almost an imagery when you're reading your book. How do you, as a writer, write the perfect words to be able to paint a picture in your reader's mind? For instance, the one about there's a town where people aren't born with all their limbs.
Mm-hmm.
You had me reading it and picturing people with hooks brushing their hair and,
mm-hmm.
you know, instead of a hand, flipping pancakes with a hook.
Yeah.
How do you put that into words so that it paints a picture?
Well, that's the Lindbergh baby that you're talking about, and basically just lots and lots of work, and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. Stylistically, I write, you know, fairly sparsely. You know, I like to pare it down. I don't like to waste a lot of words. You know, but to get to that point where you're creating kind of a clear imagery, so not convoluted, you know, and not like, you know, I don't know, Oscar Wilde, you know, Picture Dorian Gray or something like that. It just takes reworking it over and over and over again until you know, it starts to come into focus.
So how many times would you say you've rewritten one of those short stories?
Any particular one of them, at least, you know, 10 times. Some of them more than that.
Just condensing it, or is that adding new ideas each time?
Yeah, I mean both. Just removing anything that's unnecessary, but then you may realize that you've missed something that you do need to add in. So it's a long, grueling, unpleasant process, actually. I don't recommend it.
No, not to anyone? Now, The Package is my absolute favorite story in the book.
Okay.
I think the whole idea of it is amazing. Do you have a little bit of paranoia yourself?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So is that where that story stems from?
It must.
Somewhere back there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, I mean, you don't really know what it's about until you're halfway through it. You know, you're just putting together these kind of things that you find amusing or that just seem to work. You know, like a crossword almost. You know, and then you start to, you know, kind of gain this kind of larger picture, and it becomes, as I said, you know, things come into focus, and from there. But yeah, obviously there's a little bit of paranoia involved there, sure.
Now, where can people find your book?
Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Kobo. You know, basically, the ebook is on, like, just type in Suicide of the Month and it'll come up. You'll be able to order it at your local bookstore as well.
Being an author isn't your only talent.